Yo, what's going on, everybody? My name is Kivero Music. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys on how to make a tech house remix. So, usually when it comes down to tech house remixes, a lot of people tend to take like popular songs, and that's kind of the thing that I'm going to be doing today. So yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so as you can see, I have a project loaded up here, and alright, as you can see, we got the project loaded up right. I'm just going to, kind of run through of what I created for this remix. First is, you want to start off with a vocal. It's always important to start off with a vocal. One of the things I like to do is I kind of like to go with songs that are kind of trending at the moment. So, for example, I have this vocal from the song called I Don't Give a Fuck by Yeet and Drake. So here's the vocal.
I don't be giving no fucks. I don't know what to call on. I don't be giving no fuck.
So what you want to do is, first thing, is obviously fit the tempo or fit the vocal to the tempo of your project. And so one of the things I like to do when it comes down to remixes is I kind of like to keep some of the elements that were in the song already into this song. But, usually when they sound bad, because, a lot of the times when you get these, like, say these acapellas or these instrumentals, sometimes you'll be able to hear, like, some of the things from the instrumental. So, like, for example, you could kind of hear some things. This is not the best vocal for it, but you could kind of hear the things. Watch.
I don't know what to call on.
So it's not the best thing to do. So what I usually do with vocals that kind of sound like that, I kind of try to enhance them in some way. So usually what I do is, I'll add a parametric EQ. I'll remove some of the low ends. I'll remove some, like, distorting or annoying frequencies. Like, say in the low mids, there's like a frequency that's annoying. I'll lower that down. I'll lower some of the mids and some of the high mids just to kind of open up the vocals a little bit. And then I added a reverb, nothing too crazy. I just, this is from one of the presets. I think it's like the large room preset. So also I added a stereo enhancer just so I could have that stereo feel into the vocals, because a lot of these sounds that I'm gonna be using with this remix is gonna be a lot of mono kind of sounds. So yeah, so that's kind of how the vocal sounds, and let me show you guys on how the vocals sounded before.
Yeah, I don't be giving no fucks.
And then if I just enable these effects, it doesn't matter about the LFO2. You guys don't really need the LFO2 unless you're sidechaining or using the vocals for a drop. So this is how they sound with the effects.
Yeah, I don't be giving no fucks.
So another thing too is that I had this, I had the instrumental from the song. I'm not gonna play it because I'll get copyrighted. So what I did is I got a couple synthesizers from this plugin called Kepler. It's a stock plugin from FL Studio, but I did have a serum as well for my Reese bass. So this is how the Reese bass sounds. And then I added some sort of just like a simple like saw sine kind of wave. And then I also added another one, but I think this one is in a lower or higher pitch. And then I added a brass. And then I added another brass. And then I added a thick brass. And this is how all together it sounds. And then I also added the ARP that originally comes out on the song. And I also did use the Kepler synthesizer. So this is how the Kepler synthesizer sounds. So that's how that sounds. And so I also added a couple impacts. I added this impact because I wanted it to transition almost like if it's like a cinematic or ambient kind of feel. So this is how everything sounds all together.
Yeah, I don't be giving no fucks. I don't know what to call on. I don't be giving no fuck. I say wherever I want. I do whatever I want. I'm kind of money for fun. Popping purchase for fun.
Okay, so for the next part, I did add a top loop. So the top loop is just a simple house drum loop. I added that just so I could give it more groove. And also another thing I did do as well is I brightened up the chords, the synthesizers. I do have the chords and the ARP filtered. Well, I think it's a low pass. Yeah, I think it's a low pass filter. And so what that does, it kind of just make it sound like it's underwater kind of thing. And then once it transitions, that's when they brighten up. This is how the chords sound with the top loops. One of the things I did do as well is I brightened up the ARPs. So this is how the ARP sounded in the other part. So this is how it sounded. And then once it transitions. And then I didn't really do anything else with the vocals. I kind of just kept it the same as this one. You know, it kind of just repeats the whole thing. But this is how it sounds all together. And also another thing I do want to add for you guys is that I did also add a reversed top loop. So basically all I did is just reverse it. Okay, so now we're going to be getting into the build-up. The build-up did take a little bit. You know, I'm going to be going thoroughly on what I did with the build-up, so let's get right into it. So first thing I did is with the vocals, I kind of just got the last part of the vocal where it says this, watch. And I just kind of repeated that. Yeah, so I just kind of repeated it for the vocals. So let me just turn these off. And then once it gets to the other half of the build-up, I did pitch it up so it could build up some more energy. So that's what I did with the vocals, and then all I really did was just kind of add some sound effects, you know, just kind of, you know, make it interesting and all that, you know, just to build up the intensity of the build up. That way it could make the drop sound hard. So add the transition effects. So I added the transitions. And then after that, I did also add a full drum loop. So I added that because I did want, you know, people to kind of get the rhythm of like what it's having and everything. And also another thing too is I did add I think it's a high pass filter, you know, kind of remove some of the sub and, you know, kind of kept a little bit of the bass. And that's just kind of how it came out. And then I also did add this downlifter just to kind of give the build up more intensity. And I also did add this as well. But added is just to kind of give it more intensity again. You know, all these little sound effects kind of just add up to making the build up a little bit more intense than it is. And then last but not least, I did add I automated the build up. I just put a low pass, and you know, as it's building up, you know, it's getting louder and louder and louder. And then, you know, it kind of gets to the point where you hear it clearly. So it sounds like it's underwater, and then as it keeps building up, it keeps sounding more clear and more clear. So here's how that sounds. So that's how that sounds, and then all together. So that's the build up. You know, for the build up, one of the things I do recommend is you guys want to build up as much intensity as you guys can, because when you do that, you kind of make the drop sound harder than it already is. So, you know, build up that intensity, you know, remove most of the low end, or you don't want no low end in your build up, you know, maybe in the beginning of the build up, but not towards the end. You want to be able to remove all that low end. That way you could have that built intensity and all that stuff, and then, you know, when the drop hits, it's gonna hit hard and it's gonna satisfy. So now we're gonna be getting into the drop. The drop is basically your main component. So for this drop, I kind of went with almost like a bass house kind of drop. But check this out. This is how it sounds.
I said wherever I went. I said wherever I went.
And so I like that because what it does, it kind of catches people by surprise, and they're like, oh shit, and then the main drop hits. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things I really like doing when it comes down to songs like these. And I'm going to show you another trick too. I have a growth beat right here, but of course, since I don't have a growth beat, it didn't save. But I am going to be showing you guys a little trick with growth beat. So one of the things is, what I did here is, you know, to kind of add more intensity to it, I added this sound of thunder. And then of course, just to make it sound like heavier, I added a kick. The synth right here for this one is basically just a saw. So it's just like a really distorted. It's almost like a Reese, but a distorted Reese bass. And then after that, I did add a hi-hat. So this is how it sounds. Watch. Threw it on there, and also because I did like how it sounded. Here, I'm gonna show you guys a trick I usually like to do with when it comes down to like bass house or saws or something like this. Is I like to do this. Okay, we're gonna open up a growth beat. Hold on, let me just. All right, so we have a growth beats, right? And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna choose the one that says saw gate number 2, and then you're gonna. This is how it sounds. And I don't like when it has that much, so I kind of just increase the release and the attack a little bit, kind of mess with the knob. Alright, so that should sound pretty good. So let's see. You know, I could maybe add a little bit more. There we go. That sounds better. So that's how that sounds. That's how I kind of like to add the trick to it. And then it follows up with the drop. So now, the drop, you know, we kept it simple. Nothing too crazy. You know, we have the bass line. You know, we have the drums. And damn, that scared me. So what I do with the drop is I basically took the same synthesizer from the first part of the drop and just kind of put the same note, the first note, on this one. So like this. I put this note at a higher octave with this one. So as you can see, it's just at a higher octave. So this is how it sounds. Let's see. So that's basically all I did with that. I just brought it up. So now, the bass line. So for the bass line, we kind of kept it simple as well. And this is how it sounds. This is how the bass line sounds. Downlifter. And now the drums. So I added those drums because they sounded really punchy. So that's another thing too, is that when you're making tech house, you want to make sure your drums are punchy. That way it complements the sub bass as well. Because if you don't, then your drums are going to sound not heavy, and your bass line is going to be like the loudest thing of the track. So you want to make sure you get some punchy kicks and a good sounding sub. Alright, so now that's about it for the drop. So yeah, I think I kind of went through everything. Again, just a quick little recap of what happened or what I kind of reviewed is, you always want to make sure when you're making a remix, make a difference. Guess why they call it a remix or an edit, and if you want, you could keep the same melodies, same chords from the original song. But one of my biggest recommendation is, if you're going to do that, go with different sounds, experiment, go crazy with these other sounds. Because when you do that, it's really going to just give the person or the listener a whole different experience of that specific song. So, but yeah, guys, that's been it. I think I covered everything. Again, like I said, make it different, be creative, be open to a lot of things, and yeah, so let's get to it. And yeah, guys, thank you guys so much. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. We're gonna be getting back on the grind finally. I finally got better equipment for this, a better camera. So yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Kivero, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
I'll be giving no fuck. I know we can call it. I'll be giving no fuck. I say wherever I want. I do whatever I want. I'm kind of the money for fun. Popping purchase for fun. I'll be giving no fuck. I know we can call it. I'll be giving no fuck. I say wherever I want. I do whatever I want. I'm kind of the money for fun. Popping purchase for fun. I say wherever I want. I say wherever I want.